So,
All right.
welcome both of you to session 3 of It's All About You.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And let's start with what's new and good.
Okay, well, I was able to get some more exercise in than I've usually gotten in because I really made the time for myself to do that. So I actually went to the gym and did yoga. I had to bring my kids, but that's okay. I put them in the child watch and I was just more motivated this week.
Nice.
To, yeah, so that felt really good.
Excellent. Yeah, that's huge actually, because that was what we had talked about initially was how are you going to make the time for yourself and still make sure your kids were taken care of.
Right.
So it sounds
I
like
realized that's something I could definitely incorporate more on a regular basis, because it felt so good once I was there. I come home and it's just good to get out and it was refreshing. I felt so good. I was like, I could totally do this.
All right.
awesome.
Um, oh wow. For me, new and good. Well, in the same thing about exercise, I made a walking plan, and before I left for my trip, and I did three times in a week, which is what I had left to go. And I got up early, went down to the beach, and walked not on the sand, but walked by the beach, and kept that up, on schedule. And I really can't wait to get back and do it, once I return on Monday. And it was just refreshing, to get up, start the day that way. I've got some friends who they like to exercise at night,
Mhm.
but it's just very empowering, to especially where we live in South Florida. I go to the beach in Fort Lauderdale, right on Sunrise Boulevard, and there's a lot of energy, a lot of people. It's just a great way to start. So that is definitely new and good. And then Rachel and I talked a little bit about eating on a trip, and she gave some great advice. And I went up. I took the trip, a van ride that I've taken honestly, 20 times in the last 4 or 5 years. And this time was totally different. I had a little cooler full of vegetables. I ate like four small meals during the day instead of glomming two big ones on the road.
Mhm.
And it was just being careful, mindful, aware of what's going on, and just like, oh, okay, I'm pulling over for gas. What are we doing? It's like, oh, go to the cooler. I mean, it's just a great way to look at something in a different way. So that was very cool.
Well, you
Very, very
sound
cool.
so good. You sound excited and good about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I yes, and thanks for that. I do. I am excited because my life revolved around going out and eating out. I
Mhm.
mean, literally revolved around it. That's how I did business. That's how I did pleasure. It was not uncommon, a couple times a month to meet somebody at 4 and then meet somebody at 8, and literally have, two dinners. And
Mm.
so now it's like, I missed a meal last night. I came home, cooked a little steak and mushrooms up, ate it, and I was done. And I thought that was a heck of a lot better than stopping at McDonald's on the way home.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just exciting. Just yeah, it is exciting.
Good. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Your enthusiasm is catching.
It is.
And it's just one of the words that you said was it was so empowering for you to get up, go to the beach, have some exercise, be around people that were doing things. And
Yeah.
I'd like to suggest that the empowerment came from following through on your word, honoring your word to yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Like a lot of the times all of us do it. We say, oh, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to eat differently, or I'm going to take a yoga class this weekend. And we don't. And we have very valid reasons and excuses, but we
Mhm.
still don't honor our promise to ourselves.
Mhm.
And it's like a hole in our bucket. I've been using this analogy. I've been
That's
using
a
it
good one.
the past couple days because I recently plugged a hole in my personal bucket.
Mhm.
And how
Um,
did that look?
well, it was in a romantic relationship, and I wasn't getting what I wanted, and I knew that, and I was still involved. And even though I said to myself, Rachel, this isn't what you want, you know, don't do that anymore, I still did. And that was a
Mhm.
huge energetic drain for me. And so I actually finally brought awareness to it. I contemplated it. I took a step back so that I could not identify with the feelings. It wasn't me, it wasn't Rachel who wanted this. This was a desire inside of me that I could distance myself from. And when I was able to distance myself from it and then objectively go, okay, well, this is a desire. Is it in alignment with what you really want?
Mm.
That's good.
And the answer was no. And not only was the answer no, but it was no, and what I have to do this hurts me.
You mean to
Mhm.
keep it going? You had to choose to hurt yourself. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I had to choose to
Yeah.
allow myself, to stay in a situation that was not only not feeding me, but it was actually taking from me.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so I just, with love and appreciation and gratitude, I was able to say, I'm done. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I swear that the plugging of that particular energetic hole, it's been like unbelievable.
Oh, that's so good.
So honoring
It's a
my
great
word to
analogy. Cool.
myself.
It's a great analogy. Really is. Because I actually have two coaching worlds right now. I have this one for my health, and I have this somebody else privately for my business. And I'm really aware of like being coached. Like, oh, that sounds good. Okay, that sounds good. And one of the things I've talked about now, and I had the other one this morning, as a matter of fact, and we talked about energy in both of those calls.
Hmm.
And it's such a big thing, especially with the food. With the other one, it's more about moods for sure. But the food is the basis for the moods, at least I believe.
Mhm.
And you
Yeah.
use the example of a hole in your bucket. I mean, you could just see the energy drain, and you know who those people are. You know what work that is. You know what food that is. Great analogy. Really, really, that's a bumper sticker right there.
Good. Well, I'm glad it was useful for you.
mm, mm.
Um, all right. So thank you guys for sharing what's new and good. And so the first session we talked about setting our goals, and we talked about the Merlin principle and envisioning in present tense our goal when it was completed. So generating that feeling of having completed it, then working backwards towards milestones, creating milestones so that we could then fill in what we needed to do on a more short-term basis to reach our goal eventually.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Robert, did you complete that?
Um, say again. Did I what?
Did you complete it? You said that this past week that you were going to complete your goals.
I
You were going to plan for eating on the
I did.
road and complete
That's
your
what I
goals.
focused on, and then I did not complete it. And being honest, I didn't even get to open the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. I just did not get to it.
Okay.
So, but we on the phone call last time we did very actively work on it, and I had three goals that went out 3, 6, and 12 months, and when I reviewed my notes, those totally made sense. Like those were doable. They weren't pie in the sky. They were certainly wonderful milestones.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to the next phase of putting into existence the steps you're going to have to take to get to your milestones?
Trying to think of with the food, with the health, I did not.
Okay.
I actually I did it more with the business. It's very eerie that I'm getting the same questions from both. But I'm like, did I do it for the food? No, I didn't.
Uh-huh.
So the answer to the question is no, I did not.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say.
No, you go ahead.
It's really interesting to me because I've done in my life. I've done so much, coaching and group work where I wasn't doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did the coaching in order to get started on the work. And I came into your group, Rachel. I mean, I know Rachel from Landmark, but I hooked up with her at that moment in the fresh fruit section of Whole Foods. Like it couldn't have been any more perfect. and so with that and with the other, I'm doing this coaching inside of doing it. And it's so different because it's such an on the court kind of work. And I said this morning, and I'm saying it now, and I realize that I still have to do some foundation work, like the homework and whatnot, that I still haven't done in a couple weeks. And that's absolutely what's next for me in terms of my commitment.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to say.
And I have to agree that, I have a similar experience with it. I have my goals set in my mind and what I want to do, and I understand that. And I have written them on paper as far as what I want, but not in detail about how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I also have to work on that. This is a new type of thing for me also. So, I do have to work on that as well.
Okay.
And I want to so what I want to say about that, there's a couple of things I want to say about that. First of all, I'm going to offer you're going to, like any experience in life, you're going to hear tools in this training or, this group, and you'll use them or you won't use them. Some will stick, some won't. And this particular way of goal planning may or may not stick for you. So again, it's just a tool you can use.
Mm-hmm.
The emphasis of that exercise, which to me is so valuable, is the really, rather than just writing down in 12 months I'm going to make $1 million, it's writing down and experiencing the feeling of what it will be like to achieve that. Oh my God. Today I checked my bank account and I hit $1 million. Never in my life did I think that I would make that achievement. Today I'm actually going to close on a house that I'm buying for my mother. And I've set up an investment plan for the rest of my life based on my income, so I do not have to worry. I feel so free. My skin is tingling. I'm energized. So it's the experience. Do you see the difference between experiencing it and just stating a goal?
Yeah, there's a big experience. I was with you there. I was like, oh my gosh, you did, Rachel? That's amazing. That's phenomenal. Good for you. My mom's going to be so happy.
Yeah, right? So how we create in this life based on quantum physics the world is 99.99999% energy and 0.00001% matter. That energy is affected by our electromagnetic impulses. The way that we affect that is through our feelings. Our thoughts generate an electrical impulse. Our feelings generate a magnetic signature. That's how we call into existence and call towards us what it is that we want to experience in our lives. So this exercise of being in the achieving of is that opportunity to turn on that vibrational switch within you. And the putting out of the milestones and then the filling in of the gaps, like we don't really know how we can't, it's great to plan. Man plans and God laughs. So it's great to plan. And like today, I had a fantastic plan. It was really a wonderful, well-crafted plan. None of it happened today. And I'm, and that's okay. But the planning part of it is generating that electromagnetic impulse so that we start calling towards us what we want in our lives, so that we're vibrating on the same level of what we want rather than being where we are. Because if we stay vibrating at where we are, then we'll continue to have what we have. Mm-hmm. It's about being, and this is, Robert, this is Landmark 101. It's about being what you want. Yeah. And then you will create what you want. So that's the value of this particular goal setting experience. Again, it may or may not stick for you, but that's really what I want you to take away from it, is remembering that generating the feelings and being able to tap back into those feelings is how we shift our current reality.
I really heard something there, and I'll give a great example of the last couple of days that when I went out to eat. I felt like the going out to eat was defensive. I was watching what it was. I'm like we just went and got some sushi, and I right now I have a little bit of a headache, so I know that one of those had either MSG or some hidden sugar or something like that. Like it's just my body's reacting to what I ate, mm-hmm. and that is like a short-term reactionary, maybe not defensive, reactionary look at the way I'm eating. But what you're talking about is something a little more global, something a little more, like to give the power to move through the other things. Is that what is that kind of how you're looking at this for the future look?
I'm just digesting what you said so that I can. Mm-hmm. So what you said was you are experiencing a feeling or a reaction to what you ate. And yes, that's different than the feelings I'm talking about generating when you think of achieving the goal that you want. Mm-hmm. So our mind doesn't know the difference between what we actually physically see and what we think.
Mm. So you're talking about manifesting, basically.
Yeah.
Manifesting, that type of thing where you're putting the positive energy out there for what you want, and you gain it by just initiating that energy.
Tuning in.
And being empowered. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Tuning in to the vibration, because again, we all vibrate at different frequencies. And mm-hmm. the experiences that we want to have vibrate at different frequencies. And when we tune into, and we think, maybe not the three of us, but we as in the human race generally thinks that our circumstances decide how we feel. Mm-hmm. The important shift that I really think that this exercise helps us in is recognizing that we generate our circumstances mm-hmm. by how we feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So when we make a conscious choice about what we want to feel, and we focus on the feelings that we want to have, we then collapse the potential energy into the physical through our attention. So that's what the planning's about.
Okay.
Okay, got it. And you say you even use the phrase, putting it into the physical. I mean, that is, twice over as important when it comes to the food and the health of our body, as opposed to something we're creating in our lives with a relationship or something like that. I mean, this is the foundation, the vessel of it all. So that makes, that really makes very, very strong sense.
Health is our only true wealth. If you haven't got that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're energetic, and we are in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't love that body and honor that body, then nothing else is going to move the way we want it to. So, I just want to, Liz, I just want to ask you. You said that you appreciated going to the gym, and you're definitely going to do more of it. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Robert. Do you have it in existence? One of the things we talked about. I don't know if you had a chance to review the materials from last week.
I didn't. I don't. I have to be honest. I don't remember receiving them. I'm sure that you sent them, but I honestly didn't see them in my emails. So, because I didn't participate in last week's meeting. So was that, I've been communicating on the interface on Facebook, but what is it last week that was really focused on?
So, we did it a bit.
You don't have to go back over the entire,
What we talked about was time management.
And time management.
Yeah, one of the big points of time management, and I'll send you the documents again. I do believe that I sent them to you, but I'll send them out again.
Okay, please.
Yeah, here we go, session 2. I'm going to send it right now.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the keys to time management is sometimes we say, oh, well, I'm going to do this. And I use the example of me saying that I was going to give Robert a call last Tuesday. I said, okay, Robert, I'll give you a call at 6 p.m. And I didn't put it into existence, meaning I didn't actually put it onto my calendar. It was a verbal promise, but it only existed in the air. I didn't write it down. I didn't, so I forgot.
Okay, I see.
And so when I say,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
When I say putting things into existence, so you say you're going to the gym more.
Yeah. No, I have Monday night specifically. There is a specific time that I go, and I have it in my schedule. I write everything in my calendar because otherwise I just get completely mixed up. There's just too much going on, so I have to set reminders for everything.
Yeah.
Like I'd set it a day before and then 2 hours before so that I don't, get mixed up, because otherwise I'll forget that I was reminded a day before,
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was referring to.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I do that. Yes, absolutely. And I am, the goal for me, one of the goals for me is to really get into motion doing this on a regular basis, and making that time for me, a reality and a regular thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have it in my schedule, and I have respected it. There are a couple things I didn't get around to doing that I intended to, and other things got in the way, unfortunately. Sick kids over the weekend and that kind of thing. So but I had some plans to do some things, for myself. But the kids had a stomach bug, so I had, to be with the little people.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, unfortunately, with me, is that I have these big plans to do things, and then, I'm a mother of young kids, and, sometimes my plan just doesn't work out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But you do what you can.
Well, I want to mention just in this conversation, I realized that I went to the beach 3 times exactly on the schedule that I wanted to, and Rachel, I realized that I had not put it into my calendar. Did it?
Good.
And I can see immediately how, like when I return on Monday, how that could, if it's not in my calendar, how it could easily just, well, I'm only home for a couple of days, I'll do it, when I get back. Totally get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole idea of putting it into existence. That's, I really see the power of that, even with something that I've been doing.
Good. And before we move on, Liz, I just want to throw something out there, and this is just for you to kind of mull over and think about, and it's something for all of us. The kids are definitely the priority, and there are going to be times when they need you, and that's just the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd encourage you to start looking into is, I know, like, if your husband's out of town unexpectedly, it throws a spanner in the works, but I don't know if you have family or a support network that you could start to utilize.
I have a very large family. I have 4 siblings and both of my parents, and you would think that I would have a better support system. And I'm not making excuses, because there's got to be a better way.
Mm-hmm.
But both my parents still work full time, which makes it difficult for them to help me with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my siblings all have their own things and families and whatnot going on. So I feel like I'm burdening other people with my responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I have the kids. But I realize that I need to maybe get a sitter or someone that I trust. Maybe I'm being too overprotective. That's something I need to figure out. You're right. It can be overwhelming.
Definitely, I think just start to really, and we're going to talk about awareness, and we're also going to, we're one of the couple of things we're going to be looking at, and not so much tonight, but next week, is contemplation, bringing our awareness in contemplation of these things, and just becoming so we have these thoughts, and you said something, Liz, just now that so resonates with things I've said, which is, I feel like I'm burdening them with my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sentences that I've heard in my head most of my life that has stopped me for asking for help or in inviting people to be part of something for me is, I don't want to be a burden.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very strong, and I'm very independent, and I'm very capable of taking care of everything by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, people who love us like to be part of our lives. And they like doing things for us. And there are going to be times when it's not practical for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to say no. And then there are going to be times when it's going to be a pure pleasure for them. And they're going to be really grateful that you asked.
Yeah, maybe I need to ask more, because, I don't, you said it, I try to do everything myself and work full time, take care of the kids, make dinner, try to, be creative with the kids and be really involved in their, not watching TV and really being in the moment with them, and, that's where I lose a little bit of myself. I enjoy all of that. Don't get me wrong, I do, but you do need to have a little personal time.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's something that I'm going to try to do, and not be afraid to do, because I might be surprised. You're right.
Hmm.
Yeah, just be willing to be surprised.
Mhm.
And yeah, and just keep bringing your awareness to it. And that's a perfect segue actually into awareness. And what do I, when I say awareness, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by bring your awareness to it?
Well, for me, that means really being present,
Mm-hmm.
um, that really, being aware, being present, and being in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
that resonates with me.
When I think of awareness, I think of being conscientious. Being conscious of what's being, I guess, asked to look at. Like paying attention. There it is. Paying attention.
Yeah, I think paying attention is a great way of putting it. In that, we'll go back to that example I used of this man that I was dating, and we all have reactions, habitual ways that we behave, or that we first think and then behave when we're triggered by a certain set of circumstances. And what I had to do to change the outcome in that situation was first bring my awareness, start paying attention to the triggers and to my reactions. So it was very much, I get a lot of like mental images with things. And so the image that I get with this situation is like stepping back and watching a play.
Mhm.
Mm.
Being objective.
Being objective. And oh look, Rachel, look what Rachel's doing. All he said was the house is pink. And now look at her. She's getting angry.
Mhm.
She's
That can be so difficult in the hot minute that you're in. You know what I'm saying? That can
oh
be so
golly.
difficult. But with my kids, it's the same thing. It's like they just drive me nuts, and I want to Sometimes I'm like ready to scream or even do, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a breath. I'm gonna back away from the situation, and I'm just gonna try to not react, and do things a little differently. So I hear you. I understand. It is not an easy thing to do, though. You're right. We're creatures of habit.
We are. And once we bring awareness to an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
we can actually move through that emotion.
Mm.
So, what I encourage you, I'd like to just do a little exercise right now. I'm going to set a timer for about a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to just bring awareness to whatever area that we're working on right now. And bring awareness to what we say stops us and how we react in that situation. And just notice your thoughts, notice what comes up. Notice any feelings, any emotions that come up when you start thinking of, bringing your awareness to this situation. Notice any body sensations. Does your heart rate quicken? Do you feel tense in your stomach or in your neck? So what did you see? What was your movie showing you?
Well, in particular, the thing that I've been trying to work on is finding more time for myself. And when I really looked at what's holding me back, the things that are getting in the way are just, I find that I will feel tired and I'll use that as an excuse. And, it's like my body is doing things that maybe out of habit,
Mm-hmm.
little resistance, feeling slightly overwhelmed, a little tightening in the shoulders near the neck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to really feel how I'm feeling about the situation.
Good.
It was interesting you used the analogy of playing a movie for many many years. I'm going to bet 20 years. I've had this, I've had conversation about my moods, and I used the world of a movie theater. I mean, literally with stadium seating and surround sound and widescreen and noisy and bold and large and very impactful, as opposed to a nice old, go back 100 years, a silent movie. It's quiet, there's jovial music, you're kind of, it's just it's less of an input, less of an impact. And that's how I've often seen my states, is either peaceful, black and white meaning simple, not bad,
Mm-hmm.
but just that that Buster Keaton picture versus Transformers coming off the screen and and hitting you in the head, and that's how I can kind of tell if it's a peaceful awareness or if it's chaos.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, and it's funny. So during that little meditation, I was like, I'm seeing a fun black and white movie. It's a peaceful time right now.
Good. I encourage you to continue to bring that awareness, taking that step back and not judging. Don't judge what you see or you hear, but just notice and start to notice the repetitive patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I just said, a repetitive statement I would hear is, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden. So I had to really start looking at that, like, and it's not so much kind of trying to trace it back and figure out where it came from. That's irrelevant. That's just another way of distracting ourselves from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But just noticing that was one of those records that I would stick on to get in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And so by bringing that awareness, it's like, oh, there's that record again. I can choose something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because then I just stop to really see what is holding me back, what's really holding me back. And then I just see patterns, I'm able to really look at the patterns there and really observe it, So that is really good. That's a good exercise, definitely.
Good. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is, the two of you have slightly different goals. Robert, you're really focusing on your health, as in physical health, and Liz, you're focusing on, from what we had talked about, like for you, it's more about your creative expression and your physical, like exercise and taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Time for myself.
One of the
me.
Yeah, with you. And so one thing that I don't, and I don't know if you do this already, Liz, and I don't know to what extent you do this, Robert, but last week we talked a little bit about menu planning, and that within the time management conversation, one of the points was get used to cooking once and eating 2 or 3 times and that kind of a thing, as far as looking where we can become more efficient with the use of our time.
Mhm.
That's
So,
genius. I need to do that. That's really very smart.
so one of the things we're talking about tonight is menu planning and food shopping.
Okay.
All right.
Because I'm, you could use the term slightly obsessive compulsive about my food. I have to eat a specific way right now for my health, and I'm pretty conscious about where my food comes from and the quality of it.
Mhm.
So I pretty much cook all of my own meals, and that can be very time consuming. And the shopping for that can be very time consuming. And if I'm not organized and I don't have food in the house to cook or I don't have food prepared, I can be very hungry.
Mhm.
So, something that I have gotten in the habit of, which is just invaluable for me, is doing a weekly menu plan and then doing my food shopping. And I tend to do them on the same day. And then over the next day or two, I'll cook a couple of different dishes. So I always have food in the fridge. And let's say I'm
Do you shop
having,
once a week? Do
mm,
you? How many times do you shop a week? Once for your
well,
groceries for your.
I do at one main shop. I
Mhm.
also frequent different locations for different things.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna pull up. Let me.
Yeah, that'd be great to see some good places, maybe to pick up some healthy stuff.
Oh yeah. So let's see here. What I'm gonna first pull up is my menu plan, and so because it can be a little overwhelming. I know when people would first start to say to me, you know, have a menu plan. I'm like, that sounds really complicated. um, and it was overwhelming. So I found myself not doing it because it sounded complicated. Now, this document that you guys, oh, Robert, you can't see it, but I'll send it to you.
Okay. Okay.
Liz, are you on the computer? Are you
Yeah, I
seeing,
can see
you're getting the,
kale, sweet potatoes, garlic. Yeah.
so just to give you an idea of how simplified this is, those were items that I got from, I got a share. I like to get a share from one of my local farmers markets.
Mhm.
And so what they do is I pay a set amount a week and then I just get a box of food.
Is it
Mm.
the Urban Farmer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen to you
I've been
guys.
wanting to do that. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I really have. And they have different locations and whatnot.
Yeah, different drop-offs. Now,
Yeah, right. I need to do that.
it's so valuable because this is what was in the share: kale, sweet
Oh my
potatoes, garlic,
God.
red onion, Vidalia onion, eggplant, green beans. And the thing that
I love all of it.
it's all good. It's all either certified organic or it's grown with responsible growing methods. They buy as local as possible, although especially in the summertime, they definitely have to bring in from out of the state. It's all
Mhm.
U.S. though. It's definitely not outside of the U.S.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the value
Good.
of it for me is that it gives me the structure of what my food's going to look like for the week.
Mhm.
So I don't have to, I base what I'm going to eat around what's available.
What's in the food share? Right. That's really smart. I like that.
And it keeps me eating locally, it keeps me eating seasonally, which are two vital components for me of being healthy.
Mm.
Mhm.
So then what I do, so that was, and I sometimes I'll list it like this, but then I have a category, I just say breakfast. So what am I going to have for breakfast this week? And I'll just come up with a couple of ideas. And I eat eggs a lot for breakfast.
Mhm.
So what I do is I make a frittata, and I put how many portions of that particular food I'm going to have that week next to it, and then I put what else I'm going to have with it. And again, I list the numbers of portions, and all of that's just for counting, so that when I'm going to do my food shopping, I know, okay, well, I need, you know, eight eggs if I'm doing 4 portions of frittata.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, my meal plan for breakfast was 2 items: protein pancakes. Make sure I have fruit for that, and then frittata. Make sure I have fruit and greens and toast for that. Then for lunches, I come up with a couple of ideas, and usually my lunches are going to include some of like my dinners and my lunches are often interchangeable.
Mhm.
Okay.
And again, I keep it simple. I eat the same things quite frequently.
Mhm.
They all taste good. They're all of high quality, and they're all very nourishing for my body. And they're all pretty easy and not very time consuming to cook. But I just list a few dishes. I list how many portions of that dish I'm going to have that week. And I do the same thing for dinners. And then I have the basis of my shopping list. So whatever I don't have in my share, I make sure I go and get it. And then I
What
make.
are coconut collards sound interesting?
Oh my God, they're so good.
That sounds good. That
All
sounds good.
all you do is you saute some Vidalia onion,
Uh-huh.
and I cook with coconut oil.
Mhm.
And then you saute those till they're almost translucent. I like them a little crunchy, not 100% cooked all the way through. And
Mhm.
then throw in the collards and throw in about a cup of coconut milk.
Oh my gosh, that's yummy.
Oh my gosh.
And then it wilts and it's delicious and you have all that delicious flavor.
And it's,
Yum.
oh yeah, and I like Himalayan pink sea salt.
Oh, so do I. That's what I use all the time.
Mm-hmm. And
It
that is
tastes good.
There are
Yeah.
heaven on a plate.
Southern soul cooks turning over in their grave all over Atlanta here with this conversation about collard. They're like, do what with collards?
Yeah, I bet, right? There's no
What would your
pork.
collards do?
Um, I think I've got that recipe up on my website. I can send you the link.
Okay, that would be great.
But
Thank you.
but when I cook the collards, I do the whole bunch of collards and I cook the whole onion
Mhm.
so that I know
That's what I would do. Yeah.
I've got food, and I have these nifty little um what's the word? Not Tupperware, they're glass food containers.
Mhm.
And I have 1 cup portion sizes, so I portion everything up when I put it away. And I just when it's mealtime, I go into my fridge, I take out my little portions, I put them into my toaster oven, I go off and I do something for 20 minutes, I come back and I've got food.
How long does all this prep take, if you don't mind me asking?
My meal plan takes me, it depends on if I want to add some new dishes, like if I actually look for recipes or I kind of try and get a little creative. But it takes me
Mhm.
probably 30 minutes. 30, and if my creativity level is any higher, it'll take maybe 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes less, like,
You're talking about just formulating the plan.
yeah,
Like look what we're looking at right now. What
yeah,
I'm looking at right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just sitting there writing out what I'm going to eat, how many portions, and then making my shopping list.
You know, I've been meaning to do this for so long, and this is just so right on perfect. I mean, really, this is what I could definitely use to just, it's all around good.
Good. And then I go do my shopping. My shopping, I usually budget 2 hours.
Mhm.
And so that takes me to the next part of it is my shopping. So I like to go to different places for different things.
Mhm.
And I so I like to get my vegetables from the urban farmer or another local farm.
Okay.
Um, and Robert, you'll get these handouts. I pulled a handout up called Shopping Tips for the Healthy Eater. And for the produce, I list the urban farmer, I list farmers markets, and there's a link in the handout to a website called localharvest.org.
Mhm.
And that will bring up a list of CSAs, community supported agriculture outlets, local farms, farmers markets. It's fantastic.
Okay. So you'll send this link to me, these worksheets to me as well?
Yep, yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rachel.
And I encourage people to grow their own.
Mhm.
Big time encourage people to grow their own. And then I do a lot of my shopping on Vitacost.com.
Mhm.
It's a resource for organic, non-GMO health foods and household products, and it's 10 to 50% off of retail costs.
Wow.
So anything that you can get at Whole Foods, you can get it on Vitacost.
Really? As
Yeah.
far as like household products and whatnot.
Yeah. Just what I don't get is my fresh stuff, but
Right.
cooking oils, facial moisturizer, toilet cleaner,
Hmm.
ground flaxseed.
And it's 10 to 50% off. That is great.
And the even better part is that if your order is a minimum of $49, they deliver to your door for free.
Really?
Yep.
40, that's great because $49 is easy to that's an easy number to
Oh
hit
yeah.
when it comes, that
In
happens
the blink of an
quickly.
eye.
Yeah.
And I mean I love the fact that they will bring it to my home.
Yeah, that is great.
So that's one way that I minimize my cost and my effort.
Mhm.
And that's something I do at the end of the evening. I'm sitting at home, day's done, but I can jump online and I can just do a little shopping.
Mhm. Do you
Um,
make a list before you make a list before you go on of
Sometimes
exactly what you yeah.
it depends on how much I need.
Mhm.
I like the list because otherwise I forget stuff and then, I have to wait till I get
Mhm.
enough to do my $49 delivery free charge.
Mhm. Mhm.
I also shop at Costco, which
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff there.
they have a lot of organics
Mhm.
and they have great
Perishables or non-perishables?
what's that?
At Costco, perishables or non-perishables?
Both.
Mm, okay.
It depends on what it is and it depends on what I'm eating at that point. Generally, I find their packages of vegetables and fruit are a little big for me as a single person,
Yeah.
Mhm.
unless I'm juicing.
Okay, that's true.
If I'm juicing, I get my carrots, I get my spinach, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they do,
Kale.
yeah, kale, they sometimes have in the bags. But they do great fish, they do organic chicken, and they do great meat. And I get my grains from there. I can get 4 pound bag of quinoa, 4 pound bag of rice, stuff that I know I'm going to move through.
Mhm.
Um, so that's another great resource. So I'll go and like coconut oil. Coconut oil is bloody expensive in the supermarket.
Mhm.
I get a 32-ounce big old tub of organic cold pressed, you know, high quality coconut oil for $18.
Wow.
Yeah. So
From Costco, so
from
you're saying.
Costco. So
Yeah.
Costco, I save. It's like a $50 membership for the year, $55, but I save that on coconut oil.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
And the seafood, I get my fish from there, and it's
So their seafood is good. That's the only meat that I eat. So it's a challenge. My diet's a challenge for me because my family eats differently than I do.
mm-hmm,
They're meat eaters,
mm-hmm,
and so I have to cook two different meals. Something for them and something for me.
yeah,
So that's a whole other ball game. A whole other deal that I have to work around. It's challenging. That's a challenge.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
get fish from them. It's individually frozen in like individual packets.
Okay.
It's a 2 pound bag. So far all I've gotten from them is their red snapper and their I can't remember the name now. It's slipping my mind. It was another type of a white fish. Um,
Flounder.
Not flounder. It's
Tilapia?
no, I'll remember it, but it's all wild caught
Okay.
and
Grouper.
no, co,
No. Okay.
anyway,
Goldfish?
they have a number of different types, and again, it's
Okay, but it's wild caught.
wild caught, individually packaged, so it's easy to just pull out one for yourself.
That's good. I like that.
I love that because again, I'm single, so I can't have like a whole side of fish, and what are you gonna do?
Mhm. Right.
But yeah, this is really easy. And the way that I cook it, Liz, is I don't know if you do this already, but I usually, because it's the easiest, the cleanest, and just the most efficient, is I wrap the fillet up in
Parchment.
well, I use tin foil.
Oh, use tin foil. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll stick
And
in some
steam it in the oven?
and put it in the toaster oven.
Yeah.
I use
Yeah,
some
that's what I
lemon.
do too. I'll put vegetables in
Yeah,
and lemon and the fish, and it cooks so nicely and perfectly, and it's not dry, and
yep,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's just easy.
Mhm.
Liz,
It is easy.
like
Yes.
it sounds like you're kind of cooking for one as well. Like it sounds like the three of us are still, even though you have a family, we're having the same conversation about cooking for one over the course of a week, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
and Rachel started this conversation last week about the, one-time shopping and cooking twice or less time per week but I mean I could imagine how that would look for you to have your meals in there in containers ready to go, and then the other part that then you take care of them on whatever basis you do, and so there's a little bit
Yeah.
of freedom to that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is something that would definitely help. Just planning it out, knowing what's going to happen, trying to get things taken care of so I could just pull it out of the fridge, and you know, and they'll eat I'd make a frittata, and they'd eat the frittata,
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. So, that kind of thing. I like the idea of doing that,
Yeah, the frittata,
organizing the
man.
plant.
God bless the frittata.
It goes a long way.
I love the frittata.
Mm-hmm. And I've
So,
got picky eaters too. That can be a challenge.
yeah.
Um, you know, Picky eaters. My husband's not, but the kids, it's like, oh my gosh. You try to make them healthy stuff, and you think you're doing such a great job, and they're like, I didn't like that, or I don't want it, or
Yeah.
I didn't eat my lunch, And
Yeah.
it's like, well, what? And then you come home and you want snacks. I made you perfectly healthy, but I work so hard to
Yeah.
give them healthy, wholesome, real, organic foods, healthy foods. And they're like, they don't care. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
frustrating.
They do
Yeah,
not.
no.
they don't care. They don't care at all. They're just like, I even put these cute little toothpicks with like happy faces on it, and like cut their grapes up, and try to make it like it's. Ay, ay, ay. Maybe I'm spending too much time doing that.
Hmm. Maybe. And
Oh,
that's
um,
another area to bring your awareness.
mhm.
well, Rachel, this is a plug for you, but would you tell Liz? I'm looking at my notes from last week. You have two services: a grocery tour and a kitchen reboot. I believe those are the names.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
And I'm
Okay.
guessing that Liz is going to like these.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
let me come back to that because I have more
Absolutely.
stuff that I want to talk about with you guys.
Great.
Okay.
So let me thank you for bringing that up, Robert, and I will come back to that. So I will send this handout to both of you. So and it has a couple of
Okay.
other resources.
Great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. Um, the next thing that I want to talk about, we're totally shifting gears a little bit, but I want to just have a spotlight onto creative self-expression. And it's something that I'm really looking at in my own life. Like I can
Mm.
get very goal oriented. I mean, you guys have noticed I've really talked about goals, and like I can get very task oriented, and I like to achieve things, and I get very in my left brain, so logical planning, thinking it
Mhm.
through. And what I've noticed is that if I don't allow myself time and space for creative self-expression, it's like I dry out.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
get
I
this,
get that.
yeah, I get this visual of me becoming like this this sucked out husk of a person.
Yeah.
Prune.
Yeah. So what's your creative self-expression? Do you have
Hmm.
one, and what do you do? And let's just keep it to like a minute each and just kind of share quickly.
Okay. Well, I love dancing. I
Hmm.
love that is like the best. Just movement, is just I feel so in tune when I'm able to move. Piano. I love playing the piano, and I feel great when I do that. Although the children are always in my lap when I go for that, so that's a challenge. And then painting and drawing, and just using color. Love all of that,
Yeah.
and that's when I feel the best creatively.
Well, crap, I can't follow that list. um, Geez, I'm after that list, I'm kind of stumped because um, my creative self-expression.
I'm going to throw something out there for you, Robert.
Thank you.
Um, I realize that a form of creative self-expression for me is cooking.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Um, I notice that that is where I allow my juices to flow. So your creative self-expression may not look like playing an instrument or drawing or painting, but it may be an activity where you can feel those creative juices flowing.
Okay. Well, cooking is becoming one of them for sure.
Hmm.
For sure. And my one of the things I just enjoy doing, it's part of my work and it's part of my social life is my talking, like talking to people about their lives and what they're going through and what they're experiencing.
Hmm.
My work is real estate investing, and what I mostly work with is people in trouble. And there's just, I've been doing this for 20 years, and there's just something powerful about sitting with a couple or a family and, talking them through their situation and literally giving them options and pathways that they didn't even know existed.
Hmm.
So to
Perfect.
me, there is a life creativity in that. There's a definitely emotional creativity, and also a financial creativity, because it's either going to work as an investment or it's just what I call a ministry client. So that's
That's
not as
perfect.
physical. Yeah, but it's conversation, and
Okay.
it's why I enjoy Landmark so much, because it's just a cornerstone of that kind of conversation.
That's perfect.
So yeah.
Okay. So, there is an activity called the morning pages, and I'm going to just
Julia Cameron,
Julia Cameron.
artist way.
Are you familiar with it?
I am. I read the book a long time ago, and I was part of as a surprise sending one of my friends to one of her camps.
Oh, wow.
Literally, we just told him to pack, and we got him to the airport and sent him for a weekend. He did that for years. Those morning pages. So go on, please, please.
Awesome. I'm glad you're familiar with it. So, are you familiar with Julia Cameron, Elizabeth?
I am not.
Okay. She wrote a book called The Artist's Way, and it's
Hmm.
actually a 12-week course in generating your creative juices
Mm,
and exploring your creativity, and but in doing that, tapping into your intuition and your higher self and experiencing a greater level of wholeness. So another one of the documents I'm sending out to you guys is called The Morning Pages, and it talks about the exercise of writing every morning, just doing some writing as soon as you wake up, when you're still in that half dream state.
mm.
You haven't quite kicked in yet. You're not thinking about the bills or the work or the kids or the job, none of that. Like you're still in that half asleep, half awake. And Liz, why don't you and I take turns? We'll just take a paragraph each and we'll read it.
Okay, sure.
Let's see.
Okay.
I'll kick it off.
Okay.
There's a time every morning when we are half awake, half asleep, and not quite fully conscious. At those moments, we have access to our unconscious mind and our inner workings. But like dew on the morning grass, it will soon be gone without a trace. Listening to these tender morning wisps allows us to reach into our inner world, the deeper part of ourselves that helps guide us on our path of transformation.
Okay. Early morning pages are a stream of consciousness written in a journal first thing in the morning. Keep your journal by your bed and reach for it while you are still half asleep. Begin by writing down any memories you may have of your dreams. At first, there may be nothing or simply minor recollections, but as you do this over and over, you will build the muscle. You'll send a powerful message to your brain: I am prepared to accept my unconscious thoughts and feelings, and I accept that more and more will be revealed. You will develop a deep, direct relationship with your inner self.
Next, write 10 things you're grateful for from yesterday. Usually our minds focus on everything that's not going well, skipping over the fact that we live in a peaceful, democratic country. Your mind easily forgets that you have great friends, a place to live, plenty of food to eat, access to education, a job, and freedom. Take time for Thanksgiving and appreciating what went well yesterday.
Okay. Next comes the stream of consciousness writing. Write for at least a page, maybe two. Write whatever crosses your mind. Nothing is too pretty, too bad, or too silly to write down. Nobody will be reading this, so write it all. No censoring. You'll be amazed at what comes out of your sweet, innocent mind. Write quickly or write slowly. Find a pace that works for you.
All the angry, ugly stuff that you write in the morning would otherwise stand in the way of you being your best you. By doing early morning pages, you get all those repressed thoughts out of your system so you can live your life and realize that you are not your mind and you are not your thoughts. You are a spiritual being in a material world, moving forward toward the life you deserve, which is the life you truly came here to live.
Okay, watch your breath, watch your mind. It's like a meditation. Be still and just let it all pass from your mind onto paper. I like that. That's really good, And I'm up early enough to have a few moments that I'm up in the morning just so that I can be still and enjoy that, few minutes of time I have before, the kids wake up and I have to get my day started. So this is a good opportunity for me to really connect. And, I understand what this means and what I'd have to do. I could see myself in a more objective way, how my mind is working.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's something that you guys can both take on if you so choose.
Yeah, that's really great.
So, what are you going to focus on for the next week? What are one or two things, practices, maybe that you heard from tonight or that you've been meaning to take on that you're going to put into practice for the next week?
Well, this is big, but I think morning pages and maybe the menu planning, I might be biting more off than I can chew there, but I'm going to really do my best to try to do both of those things and fit them in, and I think it's really going to work, as an advantage for me,
Mm-hmm.
in the long run. It'll be worth the work.
What I wanted to say, I forgot to mention it earlier about the menu planning, is in the beginning it can it may seem like a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
It may take a little bit of an adjustment.
Yes.
But you're right.
I can see how that would be. Yeah.
Once you make that adjustment, like you get through the first 2 weeks or 1 week, and for me it was the first week. Once I did it, and then for days on end, I'd go to my fridge and there was just food in the fridge.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Like, am I going to finish all of this? What's going to happen if I don't finish all this?
Oh, I didn't worry about that. I ate it.
Yeah, so like you had things pretty planned out, Rachel.
Well, and plus I can eat, so it was for me it was like, oh my God, I was sold. That was it. The experience
Yeah.
and the ease of it was enough. So that's awesome. So Liz is taking on morning pages and menu planning.
Okay. Well, I just quickly wrote down I'm going to be in Atlanta, Fort Lauderdale, and Austin by the time we meet next time. So there will be a continued effort of on the road.
Okay.
But I also, and I wrote this earlier in our talk tonight, I'm definitely I'm gonna engage more in this conversation. I'm gonna follow Facebook. I'm gonna pull and read the documents that I didn't read and the ones for this week.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do some some journaling with the be vivid with the milestones. That's what I'm gonna do.
Awesome.
And those are in writing. I'm going to put those in writing. Oh, I'm sorry. I just did. I just did.
Good.
And really commit to those because this is a great conversation. It really is.
Good.
Yeah, it is very inspiring.
So
Moving.
what's been useful for you tonight?
Oh, a lot, I have to say. I mean, I'm really excited about, making these changes. I think that there's, a lot of these things, there's so much, I'm glad I took notes, to be honest, because I try to get the highlights for myself so that I don't forget, because that's the problem with me is that sometimes there's a fog. You get caught up with things. So really, there's a lot of useful stuff here. The milestones, trying to organize things, write it down, and set out what your plan is and how to get there. The menu planning, morning pages, those are all really useful tools that you can actually use. It's not like a pie in the sky thing. These are really discrete ways of doing things, that I think you can develop real change with.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
What's been useful for you, Robert?
I wrote down the phrase eating locally and seasonally. There's certainly been, for many years, there's been a conversation like, how come we can get certain fruits all year round? That's just weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sure it's coming from a different hemisphere, would be my best guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that philosophy, you might have said it before, but I really heard it tonight. And then the other thing, I was really grateful that Rachel, that you gave me some clarification about my definition of creative self-expression.
Mm.
And ironically, I know it fits in the same category as conversation, but I do journal.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite morning pages, but I do journal, and it's that to me is a one of the ways I express myself. So
Great.
So that was cool. So getting present to the fact that I do have outlets for creative self-expression was good to verbalize.
Good. And in 30 seconds or less, what are you looking forward to for next week? Like during the next week?
Mine is three states in 3 days. It's going to be great. I don't want to do it all the time, but I'll certainly do it this early next week. And I will be calling from Austin, and I'm gonna ask my friend if he has a camera, a webcam, so I can get online and do that.
Do you have a smartphone?
I do.
There's a GoToMeeting app.
Oh, there is. Oh.
And I apologize that I didn't send that information out to you.
Oh, I could find that easy.
Yeah, there's a GoToMeeting app.
And that allows for the face view, face-to-face, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look into that. Excellent.
Cool. Liz, what are you looking forward to?
Oh my gosh, I am looking forward to really trying these new techniques out and not being overwhelmed,
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a good thing.
Yeah. And just
Trying to have
remember,
fun doing it.
yeah. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed too. Like it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And especially putting new techniques in. For me, when I add something new in, I definitely have a little bit of a like, ooh, okay, got to make an adjustment.
Right, yeah, that's it. It's it's an adjustment. Sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable initially,
Yeah.
but I understand if you adjust. I mean, it's the initial discomfort of the adjustment, then the flow of things.
Yeah.
Um, it's good stuff.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, I'm
This
looking.
was a good one.
I'm
Yeah. Well, last
looking.
week I just want to plant the seed again. I know Yahali is not on the call, but Liz, I was saying it'd be really great towards the end of our sessions to get together.
Yeah,
Either
that would be great.
either pick some place to cook or pick some place to go and break bread out. Either way, but it'd be neat to kind of end that way. That'd be a wonderful culmination. And I'll be in town.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fantastic. That sounds great.
It does.
Just
And
planning
Love
that.
that.
Yeah.
I apologize. I should have let you guys know ahead of time. Yahalia did get in touch, and she was tied up with her daughters this evening, so she wasn't able to make it.
Okay. Cool.
I understand that. Yes.
Yes. I just want to finish with a Lakota prayer. And Liz, you and I, we can take, 2 lines each, and we'll alternate.
Okay, great.
So do you want to start it off?
Sure, I'll start. Yeah. Teach me how to trust my heart.
My mind.
My mind. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. Teach me how to trust my mind, my intuition,
My inner knowing, the senses of my body.
the blessings of my spirit. Teach me to trust these things.
So that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear.
And thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun.
Love it.